I am enjoying the Panthers and the time-honored tradition of drinking so much over a couple of days that you agree to contract terms out loud while chanting at your fan base emotionally.
Thank you.
I think that portion of the proceedings is a lot of fun. 8 more years is the Panthers do have some interesting decisions to make about how they spend some of their money. But I do want to just go back to last week for a second. And our show getting very close to the electric buzz that was the Panthers celebration. Let's play the highlight of all of last week's coverage, which is going out to Roy with comedically perfect timing. I'm not confident in either our audio or our video. Roy, take it away.
We are live here at the Elbow Room. Why is everybody laughing?
That was the highlight of our coverage from the Elbow Room. But lest you think that we are always over-promising and under-delivering, listen to how Chris Cody set up the begging to go to the Elbow Room, and then listen to the only content that Chris Cody produced for our show from the Elbow Room. Chris and Roy both want to go to the Elbow Room. Roy, how do we settle this argument? Because what's the nature of the disagreement between you and Chris?
Well, I think Roy is like, let's just both go. And I think Carl and I have had the thought of, we want to have in this room today a good, put this in perspective, back-to-back championships, and then let's go out to the chaos. I thought that would be better. Yeah. Roy, Zaz, Panther, covering it forever, talk serious hockey. Let's go out to Chris getting with the party. Rather
you
than
just want to go get drunk is what you just told us.
Do you think that what's actual better content for the show? Me and Zaz having a serious Panthers conversation and then going out to Roy for the chaos at the Elbow Room?
No one having a serious Panthers conversation is best for the show.
How dare you?
I'm just saying.
Tony's here to cover for you
Exactly
if you
right.
want.
I thought that
Both of them. Yeah.
I want to hear from Roy today. This is not honestly. I know it just looks like.
Well,
Chris,
Dan asked him and you spoke over
I have
him, so
asked for zero. I really don't do this where I'm like, I want to go to do this, and I this is an assignment made for me.
2 hours later.
Bennett slapped my hand. Point proven. I got out there at noon. If I'm out there at 8:30, I'm up there on that balcony for the shots. That shot of Roy right there is me like, woo! But no, I got there at noon, and I couldn't.
You overpromised and you underdelivered, Chris. Why don't you
I
just
disagree.
Why don't you just be accountable for that? What do you mean you disagree? You're in charge of when you get to where, and you're sitting here saying I got there 2 hours late. You're making those decisions.
Well, I wanted to get there at 7. And then we had this argument and we showed up here.
But okay,
Roy.
all right.
Roy's like, I have a credential. I'm like, Roy, this isn't a credential thing.
It was reporters, whatever.
Is it
for the
Elbow
party.
Room? Is it Elbow Room or the Elbow Room?
I believe on their.
I think it's Elbow Room.
It's just elbow room.
So the is
And
unnecessary.
there's no
right?
W in elbow.
Yeah, where did that go?
I don't know.
The Panthers,
Maybe it just fell off the building.
No, the
I'm not
Panthers
sure.
took it. They took all the W's.
Good job. Yeah. All right.
Zaslow, I know you have very important ESPN radio things to do because you're a rising star. Your confidence is growing by the day. Every time you appear with us, you appear more and more confident.
I do. I feel it.
Can we just play the sound, though, before we get to Ekblad, learning the lesson that Sam Bennett taught him? Let's play the sound. This is from 11, right? Things get loosened up at 11 in general. Is that your phone? Whose phone was that?
Could have been mine.
Is it $5? It is your phone again, Greg? Let's play the sound of Bennett giving up the goods in negotiations because it's a celebratory drinking time in South Florida.
I am leaving.
I ain't bleeping leaving.
That was the announcement. Greg Cody told him to clean up the language. Zaslow reported that last week.
I did. That's my dog right there, too.
Do you feel bad for him having to lug that Conn Smythe trophy around everywhere? It's such an impractical trophy to
Seriously,
take to
so
parade.
awkward.
So heavy.
Yeah.
It's got such a big, wide base, and at the very top, you have to essentially squat down to carry it. The
Looks
top,
sharp,
it's
pointy.
very sharp.
Watch out for that leaf.
Your eyes.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of it from the bottom. It's hollow on the inside and there's no bottom. Not very impressive.
So you could like wear it almost as like a hat.
Yeah, you could. You could put it over your head.
Probably be easier to carry that way.
You should, yeah.
At the risk of Florida people and South Florida people do care about this one microscopic money management issue that the Panthers do have. It might not be interesting to the audience at large, but keeping together a champion usually is. I see all over ESPN right now, they're saying, is it already time to say OKC is a historically great team? This team won 2 in a row. They're going to have trouble keeping everybody together because the first thing that happens is everybody wants more. And Ekblad learned the lessons of Bennett. Do not negotiate at 11.
It's funny, after 11, my agent called me and he said, make sure you don't say whatever Benny said. You got to hold on to that leverage, eh, Benny?
What was that laugh? That was a drunk laugh.
That's rich. That's the sound of upcoming wealth is what that is.
Why'd the Thunder look like they weren't happy to win the championship yesterday? Like, why can't they open champagne bottles? Why did they not really celebrate? Like, what was going on with them?
Did you see hardly any of them were in, like, the locker room, and
Yeah.
there was nothing going on.
Are they old enough to drink? We have a B-roll of them attempting to open a champagne bottle, and they look like young 20-year-olds.
It's a very young team.
Yeah,
Like this is.
they were also overwhelming favorites in every series that they played. They were like minus 700 in every series that they played. It was every basketball nerd would tell you this was a foregone conclusion.
Chet's just like looking around like, we're supposed to be doing this, right? This is what we're supposed to be doing right now.
It looks like they're trying to figure out how you're supposed to celebrate winning. Like, is this, I don't know, Greg, if you think this, but is this like a gotta want to earn, gotta want to learn situation? Like, they're too young to understand the struggle of how hard it is to win an NBA title?
Right.
This is why you need veterans.
Yeah.
What would happen if one of, like, the 19 or 20-year-old players obviously is just chugging beers? Does anyone care?
So you guys didn't want to have the Bennett and Ekblad conversation, huh? You guys just wanted. I wanted to get that
I would
in.
love to have
I
that
wanted to get that
conversation.
in before Zaslow left.
I want to have it, yes.
It feels like Ekblad's not coming back.
Yeah.
I
Because
don't agree with that.
Well, he's the only person that hasn't said I'm definitely coming back out of the two. Brad Marchand was featured on a video, I think, just outside the elbow room on Friday, holding up 4 years. Like, people were asking him for one more year. He's like, nah, one more. I'm coming back for 4. There are reports out there that it's going to be more expensive than you'd probably like, given everybody's proclivity to take a discount for this team. From the early numbers that's been put out there, it doesn't seem like Brad's playing that game. Sam Bennett, 8 for 8. He's already guaranteed it every time he's in front of a microphone that he's coming back. Ekblad's the only guy that's reserved. In fact, yesterday at the parade, he's like, I'm going to do something that Sam Bennett didn't do, which was listen to his agent and not say that I'm going to be back here for 8 years. He said something to that effect while wearing a Scarlet's hat, which I love.
Cody.
Ekblad also said at 11, he made a point of thanking the fans for all the years of support.
Seemed emotional.
It sounded like goodbye.
We were there, and it kind of felt like
Yeah.
it kind of felt that way.
Yeah.
And last year at the parade, I know we may sound silly for reading into this, but you kind of caught those vibes from Montour and Lomberg that
Yeah.
they were gone because those deals are already discussed in advance of Game 7, really, because the offseason for the champion is so short.
Also, Ekblad, he's a little older, and he's clearly not their number one defender. I mean, Forsling has become
Yes.
one of the best
True.
defensemen
You
in
say
the entire league.
you say older, and I guess that's comparatively.
29,
he's
right?
still
Right.
he's still not into his 30s, which is
Right.
crazy because he's been here for
Right.
over a decade.
Right.
It's
A
more
lot of
the
miles.
injuries. It's the injuries.
Yeah,
I mean,
miles.
the writing was kind of on the wall when they traded for Seth Jones. It's like, here, we're bringing in a number 2 defenseman, and Seth Jones is owed a lot of money through the year 2029. But I don't know. Like, I don't think Ekblad listening to his agent to not negotiate in public and lose leverage means that he's not going to stay, because he's been saying, look, I want to be here. I plan on being here. These things come down to the wire. We'll figure it out. Like, that's literally what he said a couple of days ago. I think he stays.
Dan, I do happen to know, and he may decide to take a discount to stay here, and I think that's what'll
Happen to know? Wait a
I
minute.
happen
This
to know.
is a happen to know?
The Carolina Hurricanes are going to put a big juicy offer in front of Aaron Ekblad.
Wow.
I happen to know this. They're also going to do that for Mitch Marner, and I don't think they're going to get Mitch Marner. But they're gonna spend a lot of money this offseason, and they're going to throw a big offer Aaron Ekblad's way. For Aaron Ekblad to stay in South Florida, it's going to have to be a pretty big haircut.
No state tax.
It's going to have to be a pretty big haircut. Wow.
Zaslow, I have never seen you more confident. You really are radiant to this time in your career.
That's what happens when you win 2 cups.
It's been great to be around you during this winning time. Thank you for your work today. Go be with ESPN Radio,
All
and
right.
we will see you later this week.
All right. God bless.
The contract clause has kicked in. Zaslow is going to be around more because the Panthers won the championship. That's
what I'm talking about.
just a giant bet he won. Mike, how do you feel about this T-shirt selling at lebatardaf.com? Because I saw it earlier, and we are selling All is Forgiven was the ad. All is Forgiven Marchand is part of the ad at lebatardaf.com.
When he sues us, you guys will come aboard and see all the things that I see about Brad Marchand. Look, if he extends, I'm not going to run this bit for 4 years. No, that's not what's going to happen. I'll have to just admit that I was wrong about everything about Brad Marchand, and he'll have to become one of my guys. But here's how I spin it into a win. New take. Here's the pivot. Brad Marchand, forever remembered as a Florida Panther.
Wow.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah.
No,
Now you're cooking.
that's not true.
Yes. When you close your eyes and you think of Brad Marchand, you think of him in that beautiful red sweater of the Florida Panthers.
That's
Absolutely.
true.
Provided he resigns
Wait a minute. He's
at a discount
He's going to go into the Hall of Fame as a Bruin.
as a Panther. As a Panther.
Do you do that in hockey?
No, you don't do that.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
But he's going to go into our hearts and minds as a Florida Panther. Already, has Brad Marchand ever been more famous in his entire career? Even in his prime, when he won a cup with Boston, he wasn't this famous.
I don't
He's
think
famous
you're allowed
because-
to do this.
No, Brad Marchand has never been more famous in his entire career, full stop.
I mean, he did lick a guy's face.
He has never been more famous than
Infamous.
he is right now. He had infamy, and it's not like he loses
Now he
all
has
those
fammy.
things. He comes into Florida with all those things in his past, and he wins a cup as a piece, as a locker room guy. You kidding me? And he's dominating. He won this in the age of social media. IG stories and everything weren't around the last time he lifted the cup. The last time he was the main focus of the conversation. Tell you something, Brad Marchand is a Florida Panther.
Yep, I agree with that. He won his first cup when he was 23 years old. He had barely begun to establish himself. He wasn't the best player on that team. Now, you could have made an argument that he should have been the playoffs MVP.
He finished second.
Yeah, I'm not against Bennett winning, but there was a strong argument for Marchand. And I agree with you that to a lot of people in America outside of Boston, he's a Florida
Look at
Panther
us
right now.
Look at us. Two guys
Yeah,
that are
right
respected
now.
for their hockey takes, both agreeing that Brad Marchand will forever be remembered as a Florida Panther.
Zagacki.
I want to ask you guys, based on what we were talking about before, because it's not just 3 Achilles tear. It's almost 10, I think. There were 8 this season. A recent draft prospect in workouts. The previous high was 5. So we're basically at double the Achilles tears for a season. And if you go from strained calf to torn Achilles, and the obvious risk of that, everyone listening to this says that Halliburton has to take that risk for that game, correct? Like, there's no one listening to this who's saying that that's the one game that every player has to risk future earnings, future contracts, future athleticism, future body pain. Is there anyone listening to this? Now, it's easy to do in retrospect, right? Like, in retrospect, we could say not worth it because they lost the game, right?
Is anyone arguing that? I haven't heard a single person, because you're saving him for next year? So you can win the title next year, you're a game away.
It's a young team, and he's your superstar. And once you start messing with these parts of the bodies, you do run the risk of Kawhi Leonard never being the same.
No,
like,
I
it
know
doesn't mean he's not going to be good, but Halliburton's a young player. This is an injury you can come back from. But I guess what I'm asking you guys is, where is the risk not as obvious? Like, in what game do I have to put it at before you're like, no, that's not a risk I'm going to take?
I mean, let's just say the Indiana Pacers force the issue on Halliburton, and he just stays tight-lipped about it. He doesn't end up playing because they want to save his body. Tyrese Halliburton becomes one of the bigger punchlines in the history of the sport. He becomes an avatar for being gutless. No, you have to play that game. Tyrese Halliburton probably wanted to play that game, and it showed, and it certainly showed on his face when he's mouthing. It's heartbreaking, like it happened. They were all fearful that this would happen. They all took that into account, but this is what you play for. You'd be holding him out for this game for next season to have a shot to be in the same position that you are right there. I understand all the arguments, and with hindsight, they become a little bit more plausible, but it's a straw man argument. That's why you play the game, to win a championship.
And I think that's magnified when your club hasn't won anything since the basketball was red, white, and blue in the 88.
Straw man.
It is the best Pacers team there has ever been, and that game last night was the biggest game the Pacers have ever played. The sadness of that moment, because obviously we are all sports fans, have their own narcissisms. However much it bummed you out to have that be the ending, imagine how much it bummed him out as he's on the floor, climbing, crawling, trying to get me to the last shot of this basketball game. Get me to the final. Just let me last. Let medicine carry me 4 more quarters. Let this team and the inspiration so that I may be Willis Reed forevermore get me to the last shot of this basketball game. We're up 1 at the half. It's a team of, just rabid dogs on the perimeter. They really guard the perimeter. It's sort of watching these two teams play basketball is the future of the league, and you're like, oh, wow, OKC, really? Okay, they're going to do it with the length of Pippen and Jordan. They're going to steal the basketball from you and go on a run just taking it from you. Pacers, wildly athletic, great from 3. OKC, better at everything. But 4 games in that series were played exactly the way Indiana wanted them to, and they lost the one that OKC made 3 threes. And it's just crazy to have that be the difference between those two teams, and I can't believe that Halliburton's trying to crawl to the finish line, and he knows what it was. The mouthing of it happened. There it is, the thing I feared. Because how do you guys imagine these needles go? Whenever it is that we talk about Toradol in NFL locker rooms or wherever it is that you don't know and people don't want you to know about the shady secrets of medicine that push from every angle, Halliburton has to play in that game, even if it costs him the next 9 months of his career. Everything in the machine pushes him out onto the court, including his own will. There aren't very many people who would sit out that spot when that's what you do for a living.
It's not a winning position. It's a loss across the board. It's probably a loss in the game, as you see what happens. They finally succumb to not having him out there for the second half. But to become a joke forever, think about what Willis Reed has bought himself by toughing it out. Willis Reed has become. His legacy is exponentially greater because of the thing that he tried to accomplish.
He played a quarter, right? If Halliburton had lived off in the first quarter, he's not out for the first 9 months of next season.
If he doesn't limp out at all, he becomes LaDainian Tomlinson sitting on the bench as a New England Patriots beat Phillip Rivers, who has a torn ACL on the field.
Can we talk, though, about the pain of this? And I'm not talking about the physical pain. I'm talking about the franchise pain and how hard it is to get to these points and why it is that people are willing to do this to their body in order to get to the point that they get. Indiana's best team ever. You know how much that city cares about basketball. They're a half away from one of the great upsets in the sports history, they're not winning unless the game is played the way he played it in the first quarter, not turning the ball over. Halliburton goes on the road Game 7 and wins injured over OKC to produce that season for Indiana. It's an all-time sports moment for that region, any sport, anytime.
He goes in there in the pantheon of toughness.
That's how close they were to they could taste that at the half. Are they going to get the TJ McConnell inspiration game in the second half? Because they missed 8 threes in a fourth quarter, they're going to be haunted by, I don't know the next time they're going to get that close, because the trade they made just cost them the first half of next season, and they started slow this season.
Mm-hmm. Probably punt on next season entirely. It's going to be really difficult to get to the same spot with Halliburton missing most, if not all, the season.
The part that's crazy to me, that when I talk about the pain of a fan base, let's imagine what I'm about to give you here, because it happened twice in this basketball postseason, and it was a great basketball postseason. But Boston and Indiana went from, we're right there, this is the greatest thing I've ever known, to gone. Wrap it up. It's gone for 9 months. Can't lose that player that way. So who's in line next to get to the front of the line? Because you went from we're a half away to, oh, there goes next season too. And I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting TJ McConnell and his mom were going to lead me to glory. They were going to they were going to paint the most beautiful Indiana sports story that's ever been told.
But after that, do you not, if I'm running a team, I'm not letting anyone play, even in a game 7 after a calf strain at that point. Like maybe some injuries you can play through, but we're learning a calf strain, we're not playing through that one because that leads to other injuries.
So I did some research on it. LeBron in 2021 had a calf strain. Klay Thompson in the finals that Kevin Durant had his calf strain, toughed it out, but he also was injured throughout that. That was a narrative there. Aaron Rodgers tried to play through calf strains. It doesn't. It's usually a pretty good indicator. There are not a lot of examples of, man, this guy toughed it out through a calf strain and lived to tell another day.
I don't think there should be second guessing on this unless you can quantify that the calf strain makes him more susceptible to an Achilles.
It has to.
Because the tendon takes on more of the pressure as your body naturally tries to stay away from the calf muscle. More stress gets put on the tendon.
I think the magnifying the heartache this for me is that Halliburton was off to a great start in that game. He had 3 threes and 9 points in 7 minutes. This was a guy on fire when he needed to be. And even without him, they lead by 1 at the half.
Oh, but it is so crushing, right? I heard your son making fun of you before the show, saying you never called Marino overrated for not winning a title the way that you went after McDavid. But Marino is the standing example, and you've written this a number of times over the years. Dan Marino went at the very beginning of his career to the Super Bowl and went with a tuxedo in the wrapping that Cody has written about, and the tuxedo never came out of the wrapping the rest of his career because he never got back to a Super Bowl. McDavid's been on the cusp here a couple of times. Halliburton was crawling to the finish line. I don't know if he'll ever get back here again. Like, maybe he's great and a great story, but he just helped drag Pascal Siakam to a more elite status than he had even with Kawhi Leonard.
Siakam did win the Eastern Conference Final
But
MVP.
if I make up the stat that when you have a strained calf, you're 25% more like if I told you going into that game, it's a 25% chance Halliburton's out all of next year. Even if it is a game 7, I'm still probably saying I'm going to protect my superstar from a 25% chance.
You and Mike Ryan injured Kachuk on purpose halfway through the season to play in that hockey tournament.
Did you see
Four
the report?
Nations.
No, but
did you see the report?
Yeah, torn adductor.
Yeah, but did you see how he tore it? It wasn't even during the game. It was reported that it was in the fight with Brendan Hagel at the start.
But that's a good example because if you would have said to me, what Kachuk's going to do in this tournament, he's for sure out for an entire year, I would have then said, don't play in the Four Nations. I'm expecting to get banged up. You're out for a month. I believe at the time, we're like, if he's out for a month or 2, that's worth it.
Yeah.
But if it's Halliburton out for a full year, I would have changed my tone.
I don't know. You play to get that close. That's what you do. It's foolish.
It's foolish to play with when
he's got to risk injury all next season, risk injury all throughout next season to get to the chance that you're a game away. You're a half away.
Chris is applying the normal, sane, human perspective of you should not do anything to risk further injury that's going to mean 9 months of you enduring a terrible rehab. But the way this entire culture of sport is built, you must sacrifice the entirety of your body and your soul to play in that one basketball game last night. You can miss all the others, but the one last night, our entire audience, Chris, you're right. I am speaking to a cult of people who are just sort of numb to the idea of, yes, you do choose a wheelchair for about 3 months and terrible rehab because this game will do that to your body. But that's the choice every football player and hockey player is making every time they step onto a field or ice.
Right. And as long as it's their choice, I don't have a problem with it.
But the pressure of the machine, there is no one pulling in the other direction on this. There's no sane voice
maybe
saying,
his mom,
also
maybe family.
Let's stop making basketball players football and hockey players. They go through a different thing. We've all played basketball, all right? Like they're not toughing it through the same amount of things.
But this,
I understand the Achilles is a death nail and that's devastating. But that's usually when they line up and they lace their shoes up on the court. They're not really risking serious injury the way that other sports are.
Understood, but when I tell you 3 months of rehab that's going to be really inconvenienced, not a whole lot of people are going to do things that push to the other side of that in pursuit of anything. If I say, hey, there's a 25 or 50% risk here that if you take this shot in order to play this game, you're going to end up with an Achilles tear that might not just be the next 6 months. It might be your body doesn't work right the rest of the way because of the way things are connected in your body.
Now, all right, I'm getting attacked here from two of you. I think you guys are crazy.
Attacked?
I'm not crazy.
Attacked?
You're
Attacked?
crazy.
I don't feel
they
like
were
it was
a
an
game
attack.
away from a championship. That's why you play the games. And also, you're disrespecting the ABA when you label this the greatest Pacers team of all time. They
Correct.
won 3 ABA championships.
I know. I was thinking of that when he kept saying
I was thinking
that.
of you.
I remember the ABA, and it wasn't a bad league. Julius Erving played in the ABA.
It wasn't
They were-
Dr. J.
It wasn't that. It wasn't the league. ABA doesn't count.
They had
What?
Rick Barry played in that league. They had a lot of star power in
Iceman.
that league.
I
yeah,
said
Gervin, that's right.
the history of the NBA, not the ABA.
No, you
I'm not
didn't say
doing the
anything.
ABA.
You said the greatest team ever
That's
that
right.
they had. And,
Yes, you did.
And you're older. You should know better because they were in the ABA and
Told
they
you.
were
I'm not
a
counting
blue
the
blood
ABA.
program.
No, you just said wasn't bad. It's not the NBA. The ABA was not the NBA, and I understand. I do know my history here. This is the best Pacers team there's ever been.
But the other one won 3 championships.
But this one would
Not
drag
one, not two.
all 3 of those. All 3 of those. They wouldn't even know what to do with
You're
Halliburton
right.
shooting from out
Why,
there.
because
They'd be so
modern
confused
science?
because they were throwing it into a peach basket. That's why. They were shooting granny style and throwing chest passes and bounce passes, and there were no T-shirt cannons or anything else.
Yeah, Dr.
No
J.
music, no
overrated.
No.
What? What?
No, that's what LeBatard
That's not what I'm
implied.
saying.
Dan.
I
Dan said
said
that.
no
I
such
You just
said that,
poo-pooed
Dan.
the legacy of the
How
Iceman.
dare
I
you.
said no
Dan's
such
headline.
thing. I did not say that Dr. J was overrated. I
Yeah.
would never. I did
You're
not say
disparaging
that.
his league.
I am disparaging the ABA as a lesser quality basketball to the NBA.
But when those guys entered the league, when those teams entered the league, they performed admirably.
That is correct, but the NBA is the best of the best, and the ABA was some of the best of the best.
You know, Buffalo Bills fans still look pretty fondly at those AFL championships. Last ones they ever won.
Find me somebody who was on that Indiana team who had a second job as a plumber. Please find me the player on the Indiana Championship ABA team that just find me a roster, a name of somebody who had a second job in the offseason.
They'd have a
because
job
of what-
forever.
As a
Yeah,
plumber.
good point,
He-
Chris.
He foresaw AI coming.
It is good life advice from the godfather of AI. If you want to have a future career, become a plumber.
Give me like
a
10
person?
options. Can you give me like 10 options?
Who's the godfather of AI? That's a person?
That is a person, yes.
What is the godfather of AI's
We'll
name?
get him on.
Billy, it's always great when you don't do any of the prep and ask me a question I don't have the answer for. You haven't spoken for 10 minutes, and now you ask me something that I don't have the answer to.
Thank you.
Bobby. Bobby.
Thank you. Jeffrey Hinton, it looks like, might be his name. Does that ring a bell?
Thank you.
Roger Brown was employed at General Motors in Dayton.
That's the guy right there. That's the godfather of AI.
No, it's not.
Yes, that is the godfather of AI right
That- I
there.
mean, the guy
It's the first
respectfully
name.
looks like a kook.
The first name that you said, though, what is his name?
Jeffrey Hinton. That's
yeah, I
him.
think that's him.
77.
Yes.
Oh, Roger Brown was a player on the Pacers that had a second job, just to clarify.
So he did not invent AI.
No. He worked for GM. GM.
Does the godfather of AI mean that, like, Jeffrey Hinton's friends really created AI and they trusted him so much with caretaking AI that they named him the godfather of AI? Because if you invented AI, you'd be the father of AI, would you not?
Their main broadcaster was a teacher.
Sometimes you're not that close with your godfather. It's like friends with your parents, and then it's just like, I don't see him a lot. Who's my godfather, Dad?
It's a very hyperbolic decision.
I don't even know who my godfather is.
Do you have one?
Now you tell me.
Oh, my God.
You would know.
Is it like Uncle Dick or something?
It could be. I don't know.
You don't know either. See what I'm saying about godfathers?
I'm the godfather to 2 goddaughters.
Roy's offended by everything that's happening right now.
Isn't Chris's godfather the guy that's sitting to your right?
I don't know.
If Dan's my
You don't
godfather,
know?
I'm just learning
No,
this.
I don't know.
I
I'm
am.
gonna ask
the
my
one that
wife.
picks.
I'm gonna ask my wife. Hang on.
Oh my God.
Hang on.
Oh no.
Give me a
Wait,
second.
wait.
Padre?
I cannot go. Just Mike, please give me some more information. You're telling me that Greg Cody and others are now making the argument that there's an Indiana basketball team that is better than this year's Pacers, and one of their players also had a second job working for General Motors.
That's true.
Like he would clock in, he would clock. He
Don't
would
act like it's that foolish. Ron Artest had a second job when he was playing.
There you go.
Circuit City?
He didn't have the second job. He applied for the discount. He never actually went to work there. What did he do?
Well, he wasn't super responsible.
I know I'm doing the same thing I just accused Billy of doing by asking you follow-up questions on this, but I would love to know what a job at General Motors looked like back then, because I now have somebody in a basketball uniform showing up for work with a construction pail, checking in for work, and doing something on the factory line.
Yeah, there's definitely like a clock in, clock out situation, which isn't all that antiquated. I remember when Murph was running 790, I had to do that.
That was the beginning of our careers. Put that on the poll at Le Batard Show. Did you ever have to clock in and clock out at work?
Did you have a physical
I had
punch
to.
or you did it on a computer?
No, it was a physical punch. It was a puncher. It had a stamp on it.
Yeah.
And you would get that card that Murph said we had to have because he was paying people too much overtime, and he stopped taking people at their word. And then you would go to Steve White's desk, and you would clock in, and you would clock out.
Would you stamp it and then go outside and fool around for a while? Like just check in to show that you were working? Or
No, I
would
was
you
all about the
immediately
work.
get to work?
I was all about the work.
I would want, not surprising, I would take like a really long lunch. I would be clocked in the whole time and then come back from lunch and then clock out for like 20 minutes.
Greg, are we interrupting you?
I'm texting my wife who are the godparents of our kids.
It's important.
I'm going to bet it's Aunt Bonnie and Uncle Dick. That's what I'm going to bet those are my godparents.
Don't you have one of each though?
I just said two
Yeah, that
people.
would be. Yeah.
No, like but you and Michael, I mean. Like
Yeah,
you each.
I'm
Different
talking about
ones?
me.
Okay.
I'm saying mine would be Uncle Dick and Aunt Bonnie, and then Michael would have maybe
Okay.
the same.
It means a lot to you spiritually, huh, as a family?
Sometimes you split it up, right? Each parent gets to choose one sometimes, yeah. Just in case, heaven forbid, there's a horrible accident where your godmother and godfather are together, then you lose both of them.
Just washed over me. I don't know my godfather or godmother.
See?
I've never been asked to be a godfather.
I'm not crazy.
I know I had them.
Yeah.
But, I don't have them
My
anymore.
godmother might come in handy at this point. too.
Would. And also, like, they exist to take care of you after your parents died. Whoever did this dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Because his mom's dead, Billy.
That's
That's why I
what
said
happened.
that.
I thought you were going to look at me and say, Padrino?
Padrino, mi padrino.
Papa?
The godfather of AI. Billy, just out of curiosity, because I am forever fascinated by how your mind works, was there any point to asking me what his name was other than to
I'm just
stump me?
curious. I don't know if this is you keep saying this nickname, the Godfather of, like if he's the Godfather of Soul, Like I don't know
James
if
Brown?
this is
Okay.
a known
Brown.
thing. So I'm curious who the Godfather of AI is. Jeffrey Hinton.
Dad, what would you be the godfather of?
Reptilian talon feet.
Oh,
That's strong.
He's got
Beer drinkers.
He's got the feet of a bird of prey.
Thank you.
It's not really
It's the
compliment.
best thing that's ever been said about me.
They're not human feet. They're feet that you would disembowel like an ostrich with.
You know the background of my feet.
That you've not taken care of them and have walked around in boat shoes without socks for 20 years and the same boat shoes.
No, that I used to be a foot model, but I have let my great toenails grow a little while.
I'm going to get you. We're going to go get a pedicure and make content of it and just get the reaction of the.
I ain't getting no pedicure.
Let's go!
Take them off, Roy. Look
What's
up
wrong
at the
with
screen,
that?
Roy.
Those are beautiful feet.
Roy, look.
Oh my God!
Come on, Roy. Look at
those.
them.
But those toenails.
No.
Those toenails have gotten worse over the last few years. We have not had a bigger achievement in this show's history than have thousands of people lined up to
Yeah,
see
that
one
was
of
fun.
those cut toenails from Stugotz.
Sexy feet.
Stugotz has
No.
twice cut the feet,
Yeah, they
the
are, Roy.
toenails of Greg Cody.
I just asked ChatGPT who its godfather is.
Wow.
And while it acknowledged that Jeffrey Hinton is part of a triumvirate of people, it also gave credit to Jan LeCun and Joshua Bengio.
Wow.
Look at these feet right here and tell me that these are not Nosferatu's feet right here. These are Nosferatu's feet. If I told you right now that's the beginning of the levitation that the devil does as it goes from demon to its most evil.
That's the raptor.
Did you
in
just
Jurassic
snort
Park.
at laughter? You snorted. People need to see these feet. Am I wrong? These feet are from another time. They're ancient fossils.
It's like a half man, half werewolf foot.
It is more than a half werewolf.
They do look like dinosaur feet.
It is half dinosaur, quarter werewolf.
No lotion.
No,
Lotion, please. Lotion.
how do
Imagine a werewolf with alopecia.
how do you not know how to take care of yourself?
Survived this long.
Yeah, but you've survived. But you've survived with the feet of the devil.
With no sunscreen in Florida. That's the wildest thing he admitted today.
I mean,
in South Florida.
It was a great Greg Cody Shirt Tuesday.
I would imagine that nobody's put on less sunscreen that lives in either Miami or Broward than you.
Okay, and to make it clear, I'm not bragging. People should use sunscreen.
You are the Michael Jordan of not using sunscreen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, that means a lot. And something else for my tombstone.
Do you think that Barkov is ever going to get this cheer off the ground? Is it ever?
Thank you.
I know, it just didn't fly.
Thank you.
Folks out there in the audience, temperature's starting to turn up a little bit. That means a lot of you and your families and your friends are going outside, having a perfect grill day, maybe out by the pool. Now, imagine yourself, grill side. Your veggies, your meats, they're all prepped, ready to go. Kids running around in the background. Lawn, perfectly manicured to perfection. It all sounds pretty great. This sounds like a good time. Now you make that good time a Miller time because it is all made better with a white can in your hand of that beautiful Miller Lite. Celebrating its 50th anniversary, Miller Lite. Almost 20 years have they been partnered with our show, making your good times Miller times every time out. There's just something about a perfect grilling day. Sun's out, friends show up, that first sip of Miller Lite, it just hits different. I've been stocking the cooler with Miller Lite for years on these grilling days, and for good reason. It's brewed for taste, and it's only 96 calories and 3.2 grams of carbs. This year, Miller Lite turns 50. That's 5 decades of cookouts, laughs, and ice-cold moments that never miss. It's the original light beer, and it's still my go-to. Great beer, great times. Grill on. Miller Lite. Great taste. 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller Lite. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
All right, it's time for Against the Spread.
I got to give you my greatest professional regret before we get out of here.
Oh, snap. Okay. It's presented by DraftKings. DraftKings crowns yours. Chris.
I have a rule in life. It's always bet against Trevor Rogers. Pitcher for the Orioles. The Marlins traded him. The Marlins got a really good prospect for Trevor Rogers. I have no idea what the Orioles were doing acquiring Trevor Rogers. He is facing the Rangers tonight against Patrick Corbin. You got to go bet against Trevor Rogers. We are taking the Rangers plus 1.5 against the spread.
Go ahead, Dan.
That's it? We're just doing one?
Yes, just one game today.
Okay.
When you bet against Trevor Rogers, it's the only action you need.
That's a bet I've enjoyed making over the last few years. He's just a solid ERA of more than 5.
We got one of their best prospects for him. What were they thinking?
It was a bit confusing. It's just a tall person who throws from that side. They'll just grab him and try and make him a baseball player. Juju is here, and I want to get to this in a second. But first, I want to get to the back and forth that David Samson had with Andrew McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen is the left fielder. He's playing left field now for the Pirates, correct? You're wearing a Pirates hat back there, Chris. I'm sure you can name all of the Pirates after Skeens, right?
Skeens, McCutchen, and them boys.
Yes. So he had a back and forth with David Samson, and for some reason, David Samson was questioning McCutchen's sources, and McCutchen then questioned David Samson's sources. What are you laughing about, Cody?
Just, I can't wait to hear this because it's ridiculous getting into a back and forth like that with an athlete, David Samson.
Okay, so let's watch here. Let's look at what we have here, this screenshot of McCutchen and Samson going back and forth at each other. McCutchen says, my source stinks, David. What a laughable thing to say when my source is the commissioner of Major League Baseball. And I have 27 witnesses to back that up. So stick to your little channel, and do this. And then he shows The Rock telling him to know your role and keep your mouth shut. What are you laughing about, Chris? Oh, good for him, says Juju. And look at big Pirates fan Chris Cody has never cared more about the Pirates than he does right now because he's going after David Samson. McCutchen, you like that he hit him with Lil Show?
Lil Channel, just very dismissive.
That's our little channel. He's making fun of our little channel.
Thank you.
He's got his own channel.
I know, but he's just making fun of little channels everywhere. Why wouldn't you want to stand up for little channels?
Is there a difference between a little channel and a little channel?
The way I was pronouncing it, I was just giving you the Lil apostrophe.
The little channel is more lovable.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is the Lil channel more lovable? What did you have for us on Kevin Durant, Juju? And it's nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you as well. Well, good for McCutchen, man. A lie make it halfway around the world before the truth even gets out of bed. So, yeah, stand up for yourself, brother. But, yeah, I think that the Rockets got exactly what they needed in Kevin Durant, bro. Like, last playoffs, they lost playoff games because they didn't have a scorer, a go-to scorer. One of the games they had Alperen Şengün with the game on the line going up against Draymond. He got stonewalled against Draymond, and Draymond flexed on him and all of that. If they had anybody to pass it to or just a go-to scorer, they would have been in better shape. And Jalen Green came up so short this playoffs, reminded us that he may not be what they exactly need in Houston either. So I think it's a wonderful trade for Houston Rockets.
Juju, you are correct about that because they didn't give up any of their actual great young assets. And you're absolutely right that they got the thing they absolutely need and the thing they were taught they needed by Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. Like, you need one of these on your side if you're going to get past what remains of the old, fighting champions in that conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Fred VanVleet, however you say it, VanVleet, he tried his darndest and he hit some big shots. But when you got people squaring up and just locking in on VanVleet, he's easy to stop. You can't stop the easy money sniper ever. So
do you guys have trouble with VanVleet as well? I get a little scared around. I'm scared around the double V's there. I don't do it with a lot of confidence. You get scared around him, Chris? You got
terrified.
Are we all confident VanVleeters?
Nope.
I just call him Fred.
Okay, Fred.
Freddie.
Fred is that would be a funny way to analyze that. To just say, the Rockets came up short because of Fred last year.
Yeah. Like Fred Mitchell.
Just Fred. What happened? Well, they were going up against Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, and they had a guy named Fred.
Right, like soccer players. They should just say Fred on the back of his jersey.
Has there been a great Fred at sports?
McGriff.
World
Series champion.
Yeah.
You got me.
Yeah, not many others, though.
That can't be our best Fred.
That's good.
It's gotta be.
He's a two-time World Series champion. What are you talking about?
Fred.
I don't think he's a Hall
Fred
of Famer.
Freeman.
There you go. Juju's right.
Oh,
Fred
Freddie.
Freeman.
Freddie Freeman. Yeah,
Freddie, though.
It
Fred
is a Freddie. Yeah.
Freddie's different than Fred. It does.
Very different.
It is, right?
Yeah, very different.
Fred lands with a single syllable, and that person is not good at sports until proven otherwise,
Right.
just by virtue of their name being Fred.
Yeah, Flintstone is the most famous Fred of all time.
Great bowler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good bowler. Yeah.
Speaking of one syllable, Jeanette from Twitter says that Zaslow today looks like the keeper of the cup, Mike Bolt.
That's good. Yeah, he did.
He just looked like himself. He's looking more and more confident. We can't tell what it is exactly. It's just a radiance that he has about him. But I think it's just from winning all his bets, winning all his championships.
Fred Lynn.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
Bo Sox
Good contribution.
as opposed to Botox.
Yeah,
He's right.
SoFlaw, as you like to say.
Yeah, S-O-K-F-L-A-W. Capital FLA. One word, by the way.
Do you have any other finals thoughts? I enjoyed your alley-oop coverage throughout the postseason, Juju, after games. Did you have any other thoughts on the finals?
Yeah, I agree with Mike. I think that Halliburton had to play like this is exactly what you play for. It's like you want to win a Grammy and the Grammy say, hey, come on down here today and perform for us, and either you or this other brother gonna win the Grammy. And you like, oh, but I rest my voice on Wednesdays. I can't come down. I'm gonna save it for next year. Like, nah, this is what exactly you play for. The whole year is gonna be about next year. So it sucks. It took the air out of the entire world, the basketball world yesterday. But I feel like given the opportunity, I would have made the same decision if I was Halliburton.
Can you guys remember something feeling quite like that in terms of and there are many injuries throughout sports that are hurtful, and Kevin Durant did go down earlier in the series, but to have it happen in a Game 7 after Halliburton played that way, I, off the top of my head, wasn't remembering a whole lot of situations where you would go from the enthusiasm of Game 7, this is the most exciting thing, is it possible that Indiana will produce one of the greatest upsets in the sport's history, to, oh, that's sad. It's not even that it's just not the result I wanted. It's just all sad. I'm watching something here that was a party, and now there's just sadness because this seems unjust. This seems like the absolutely imperfect way to finish all of this. Can you guys think of another circumstance where a championship has sort of been just soiled by an injury?
Do you think Willis McGahee qualifies?
I mean, that game was so crazy special that people remember it, even though that happened early in the game, and we saw that his career was going to be impacted in the pros. But I'm more talking about you just are deflated on two fronts. You're feeling sadness for a human being, and you're also getting the anticlimax of now Indiana doesn't have any chance. This is my interest in this game is something that is no longer what it was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think it's as sad as it was. Oh, sorry, big bro. You go ahead, big brother.
But I was just going to mention, after he went out, they played very well the rest of that first half, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
sir.
At halftime, you're thinking to yourself, all right, this could be the miracle where Indiana loses its best player and still makes a game of this. I mean, at halftime, I think you still had the feeling that, wow, they're gonna win one for Halliburton. This could be a spectacular finish to a final.
Right. They were up at the half, and as sad as it was, Miles Turner, 6 points. Aaron Nesmith.
The last two games of Miles Turner, man.
Aaron Nesmith, 3 points. Obi Toppin, 0 points. Sorry, excuse me. Fine. Ben Shepherd, 0 points. Siakam, 13 field goal attempts, like 6 points in the second half. When your star goes down, you got to come together as a squad and be like, all right, y'all, Dan is sick today. What we got to keep it going. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna hit him with this one. Roy, you hit him with the hockey. Chris, you touch Ekblad's hand. Like, we got to come up with a plan, and they didn't come up with nothing.
Fred Dreyer.
Fred Biletnikoff.
Another good one.
Fred Biletnikoff.
Yes.
I still think McGriff might be the greatest of the Freds, though. I don't think you're better than Fred Lynn, right on the cusp of the Hall of Fame. I don't think we produced a Hall of Fame Fred.
Fred Taylor?
What are you guys doing with Fred McGriff? Wasn't he just a good player? Like,
No,
he wasn't like an
he was
all-time
really
great.
Borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Like, he a lot of times came up for the Hall of Fame and is like
And that helicopter swing.
one of the best players
So borderline, he's in.
ever. Oh,
He is
okay,
in.
there you go. Okay,
He eventually made it.
He did
yeah.
make it. Okay.
But we agree he was one of the ones. He was close.
He was for many years. He was right on the cusp, and I didn't realize that Greg Cody became more lenient than I am.
Yes, crime dog.
With his vote.
Wasn't there a bad injury? Gymnast ankle.
It's Kerry
Trying to think
Strug.
of bad injuries in sports.
Kerry
that
Strug,
that
1996.
Yeah, but
that-
she won.
And she won.
She
Well, all
won
right then.
despite the injury.
I'm trying here.
You understand what I'm saying? It just doesn't that particular deflation that way where you're coming for a party and you end up being sad. It's like and you end up being sad for both things. That it's less entertaining, and also the star player just got hurt in a way that affects his career. We're going to get to the polls in just a second. But Billy, what happened back there? What's going on?
Just a stretch.
Okay,
Yeah.
just a stretch.
Yeah, just a stretch.
All right, you're winding
inning
down.
stretch, yeah.
You're winding down for the day. What do we have for poll updates, Juju?
Best Dairy Queen Blizzard flavor: Heath Bar, Oreo, Reese's, or chocolate chip cookie dough. 44% of the audience says the Oreo Blizzard.
Thank you.
I
Yep.
prefer more calories than that. I like more maximum calories, according to Chris Cody.
Also, TJ McConnell's mom, well within her rights to defend her baby. Get that camera out of my baby's face. He's sad. He's Michael Jordan to her. Do you ever get the chili dog from Dairy Queen? 77% of the audience says no, they do not.
Does anyone? That's the better. Have you ever seen anyone get the chili dog at Dairy Queen? It's a great question.
Right. And the last poll, is that some voodoo shit? 92% of the audience says yes, it is.
Damn right. That is some voodoo shit.
My greatest professional regret is The Art of Conversation.
Thank you.
They ruined it.